All right. If you live in Florida, then you just recently got one of these in the mail. That's right. This year's trim notices are out. So don't panic. This is not a bill, but we want to make sure you understand what you want to look for on your trim notice. So let's talk about what is on the trim notice. So I'm here in Lee County, so Lee County, Collier County, but throughout Florida in the last couple of weeks, the trim notices have gone out. There are a few things that you want to make sure you check out on the trim notice. And the first one, and I would argue probably the most important one, is you want to look at the top and you want to look at the property valuation. So it will show you last year's valuation for taxes, and then it will show you what you are estimated for this year. And you want to give those an eyeball and you want to be sure that nothing seems off on those. Because if something is going to be off, that is one of the spots that you will want to check it out. So it is going to be looking at market value. And again, when the market goes up, the market goes down, you could see some variance from year over year. We are in a softening market right now here in Lee County, Florida. So in fact, on my property valuation on one of our investment properties, we actually saw it go down a little bit this year, and it does look in line with what we are seeing in our market doing. All right, as you kind of come through, if you have any exemptions, that is the other place you definitely want to check out. So it says exemptions, and then they are listed under there. So for example, we are a homestead state here in Florida. So if you have a homestead exemption, that will be listed there. If you have a homestead portability because you have sold and moved into a new home and you have ported over some additional exemption, that will be listed there as well. If you have any other exemptions that you are due, you want to make sure those are documented in the exemption area. So what is the trim notice? It is a truth and millage. So the annual property disclosure, they typically send them in the middle to the end of August. And again, this is not a bill. It is an estimate of what your taxes may look like this year. And when you look on the form here, so let me go back to the other side. So again, it tells you this is not a bill. It is going to break down all the different taxing authorities that apply to your property. It has 3 different columns. One is what you paid last year's taxes. One is what it would be this year if no changes are adopted. And then the third is if the proposed changes are adopted. So it gives you 3 separate amounts, column 1, column 2, column 3. And again, this is not your actual amount, but it's going to give you an estimate of what you can expect this year and then compare it to what you had last year. So everything is labeled here: Lee County General Fund, the school fund, the MSTUs, Water Management District, everything that is part of your taxing authority, sterile fire rescue, mosquito control, etc. What is not listed is any non-ad valorem assessments, such as a CDD or a community development district charge, things like garbage. Those are not outlined. So also just know that this, again, if you look at the proposed budget change, if adopted, that number, you also then would have to add on any non-ad valorem assessments that you might have. So what do you want to check out? 1, you definitely want to look at these because you only have a limited number of time to challenge them if you feel that there is an error or a mistake. So you want to look at the property valuation last year versus this year. Make sure that they seem in line, especially if you have moved into a new home, sold your home, and if you have a homestead on your property. Remember, you can never go up more than 3% per year on your primary residence, your homesteaded residence. Never more than 3%. So even if it's going up, and if you are catching up, say that you bought your home and we've seen a huge increase in value, you still might see it go up even though we're in a declining market, but you need to look at those numbers and make sure that they seem in line. If it is a non-homesteaded property, investment property, a second home, etc., you will never see more than a 10% increase year over year. So those are the items that you definitely want to look at. And just note, you have a date on here. So if you're looking to challenge, you have to do it on or before September 12th. So you're going to have about a week or so from the time that this video airs. So if you haven't looked at your trim notice, pull it out, take a look, make sure everything looks all right. They have information on here, who to call if you have any questions, where to go to fill out a petition if you think that there is something wrong. So, whew, all right, not the most interesting, but it's definitely something that you need to check out. So again, if you have any questions on your trim notice or anything else about real estate here in Southwest Florida or anywhere else in the country, please let us know. You can always contact us directly at 239-776-6872. You can leave your comments or questions below, and we will be sure and respond and get back to you on those. And if you have any topics or questions about anything in general that you want us to address, please send us those as well, because we want to know what questions do you have about moving to or living here in Southwest Florida so that we can help you live joy too.